Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So in this one here, I want to do a Q&A. I asked you guys some questions on Twitter, and so I want to get into some of those questions on here. This one really, at least from what I'm looking at here, really ranges. A lot of it is actually on Fear the Walking Dead Season 7. There's the Season 6 premiere. There's just some other spin-off stuff. A lot of final season stuff too. So obviously, before we go any further, I do have to warn you for spoilers for The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Not the finale. I won't be talking about spoilers for the finale, though my review for that finale will be coming out later on, or not today, but tomorrow. Also, if you haven't checked out episode 2 yet of the podcast, it is available now. It's on Spotify, or I guess on YouTube. I didn't announce it yesterday, but that takes a lot of editing. Honestly, editing a podcast, at least, you don't have to do too much editing, but you have to listen to everything, and you got to make sure that the audio sounds like crisp and clear, and there's not a lot of work. It's just time consuming. So if your podcast is like an hour to hour and a half, you're just sitting there for an hour and a half listening to it, right? So it's not a lot of work. It's just that it's time consuming. You gotta do that. You gotta export it, this and that. It takes a few hours just to get a podcast out, not to mention recording it and stuff like that. But it's once a week, so it's not the end of the world. I actually saw a comment, and it was on the net, I think it was on Instagram, but it was a topic for the next episode, which was talking about how me and my girlfriend met, which I guess we should actually talk about. I think that would be a lot of fun. But anyways, the links for that are down below, but let's jump into the questions here. So the first question here on Twitter: do you think Fear will have a time jump in season 7 to align with the main show? Yes, I do, and I guess I'm not really getting into heavy spoilers by saying that obviously we saw the nuke go off at the end of episode 15. You're going to see how that plays out in the finale. There's no hint at a time jump in the finales. I'll say that. I'll say it straight out. There's no hint that there's going to be this big time jump or anything like that. But when you just take into consideration what has happened, some of the dialogue said throughout the last few episodes about them having to stay underground for like 5 years or a few years. It's like, I think they were like 5 years, 6, 7 years, whatever. It's going to be a while for that radiation to clear up. Yeah, considering what happened, obviously they are likely going to have to wait. And there's no way they're going to do a story with them underground the entire time. That's just not that interesting. Start it when it's been 6, 7 years later. Maybe Fear the Walking Dead's even a year after The Walking Dead right now, right? Like, they might jump forward in time that much. You never know. They'll probably be around the same time, though. They'll probably catch up with it, but that would just be really interesting because a lot of characters will not have met because some characters are split up. So a lot of characters have been really split up for years, and just how does that change, and what does that do to you mentally staying underground for 5 years, 6, 7 years, however long it will be, right? So I do think they are going to do that. I think that's definitely something that I do see for season 7. It's not really a spoiler. I just expect it at this point, right? So any kind of proof I see of that during like this hype for Fear the Walking Dead season 7, I will talk about. Like, we might see the trailer next month for Fear season 7, and if we do, then I guess we'll get a confirmation then. Do you think that the original characters should get more of the limelight in season 7 of Fear, or should they continue with Morgan being the lead character? I'm okay with, honestly, with just the way that it's been. I don't really care about the original character aspect to it, because the only original characters really left in the show are like Luciana, Strand, and ALICIA, from what I can think of right now off the top of my head. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Like, there's not really... Oh, and Daniel. Whatever's working right now is working really well, and I think that if they focus on other characters like that, if they change it too much, that like you can risk hurting the show. So I don't really care too much about that. Like, it's like they don't really have the same dilemma or whatever as The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, yeah, you got to stick to your core characters. You can branch out a little bit, introduce newer characters, because like obviously we saw with Connie and Kelly, and with Negan especially recently, like you can introduce newer characters that have appeared later in the series, give them a lot of attention, really great story, and they become lovable. But you also have to have the core cast involved. But Fear the Walking Dead, no one really cares about the core cast besides maybe Nick and Madison, because no one cared about ALICIA in the beginning, and I know maybe some people did, but no one really did. People thought Daniel was cool. People like Strand a lot, but then Strand, I don't know what happened to him. At some point, I don't know what it was. He just became unlikable at a certain point, but I think what it was more of just how they handled his character, just because I always liked the relationship between him and Nick. And I feel like they never explored that too much later on, and that I think they lost a lot of that. And also, I think Fear the Walking Dead had like a main character complex issue. Like, they didn't know who the main character of the show was going to be. They kept making it Madison, but I think the fans wanted it to be Nick. And I still wish it was Nick. It's crazy that he's gone, but the actor wanted to leave, fine. So then I guess now you make it Madison, right? Madison's a good second character, or maybe almost a lead. Like, she's a lead character, but Nick definitely, in my opinion, was the real lead and was the most interesting character. A totally different character than any character we've gotten. So, Q&A, would you hate it if Dakota redeems herself last minute and does not die? Also, what are your thoughts on if there was a big time jump between seasons to catch up Fear to the Walking Dead season 11 timeframe? Yeah, I mean, if they did redeem Dakota in the last minute, then yeah, I would hate it for sure. On the big time jump, I wouldn't hate, or actually, I would love it. Like, I want them to do that time jump. I know some people don't, but I'm sick and tired of being in the past with that show, to be honest. I just want them to be caught up in some sense. Like, it could even go in the future. That's totally fine. I just don't want to be set in the past. I hate that. Do you think we're going to see a Fear character in the final season of the main show? Oh, of the Walking Dead. If yes, who do you think it would be? And do you think a Madison spinoff series would be possible? I don't know about a Madison spinoff series. I don't know if that's necessarily possible. I mean, Kim Dickens could do it, but that's kind of just do it on Fear the Walking Dead. If she's going to return, just have her appear on Fear the Walking Dead. And I could see a Fear character, sure, being in the final season, but there's kind of no point. Like, if the show's ending, just end with the main characters. You know, it started off, there's like this originality to it. You know, it started off with these original characters and stuff. You don't have to tie in any spin-off characters and stuff. I would love to see Morgan and Dwight come back, but besides that, no, it doesn't really matter too much. What would you want a comedy spin-off to be about? I think Impulse said they were doing one. Well, I wouldn't want a comedy spin-off of anything Walking Dead related. Like, if they wanted to do something like WandaVision, then I would be okay with that, because WandaVision, at least in the first 2 episodes, it was really weird, and a lot of people didn't even like that, but it was just different, and it was a different thing. Obviously, we got the explanation as to what was going on there, but I'd be okay with them doing something like that if they wanted to do like this weird thing that just wasn't related to the story, and it was just like this special kind of thing, but it was acted, and it was like this real legit story. Then I'd be totally cool with that. Have all the main cast come back, like even Rick, or Andrew Lincoln, get John Bernthal, get everyone to come back and act and do this sitcom-like series. Or not even series, but special, like just 1 episode, hour-long kind of thing. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I wouldn't have an issue with it. I think it actually would be fun, but I don't want them to do an actual series comedy, because I just don't, there's nothing hilarious about The Walking Dead's world, right? Like, you can kind of make fun of it, sure, but not in a series fashion where you follow this actual story. So yeah. Do you think that the final episode of season 11 or the Rick Grimes movie should be titled Days Gone By? Because that is what the very first episode was titled. Well, no, I've actually always wanted it to be called Years Gone By. Like, I actually thought that that's what they were going to call the final issue of the comic. And that's what I was saying, like, back then, that, first of all, I didn't know it was the final issue of the comic. I wasn't saying that, but I was always saying that, like, if they wanted to end the comic and stuff at some point, end the story, just title it Years Gone By, because literally years have gone by at that point. The first episode, it was just days gone by because Rick was in a coma for however long. Years gone by, if there was a big time jump of 20 years, I think that makes a lot of sense. Name the episode Years Gone By. It's a foreshadowing of what happened, or not foreshadowing, it's an explanation of what happened. And then, yeah, I love that title. Honestly, I hope they use it. I've been wanting to use that title for like at least 2 years now. Would you rather Troy or Madison return? Oh, definitely Madison. I don't really care about Troy too much. He was a cool character, but he was a season 3 character, right? Like, it's fine that he died then. How do you think Morgan versus Beta goes if Morgan has his stick? I think Morgan takes it. Yeah, you know what? Like, that's the thing, because Morgan with that stick, he's pretty brutal. It really depends on where Morgan could hit Beta. He has to go straight for the head. Because I think if Morgan gets Beta in the chest or something like that, Beta can take it. It's crazy, but I feel like he can actually take it. The only way he died was because he was blind. He couldn't see anything, and then the walkers just ate him. That was the only way he could go, because if he got stabbed in the chest, anything, I literally think he would still survive. Beta's just that tough. So, you know, I think Morgan probably has more of a chance than, say, Daryl or like Negan or something. But how do you think Madison will come back if she does? Well, I think if she comes back in any way, it would be in season 7. And I think if they do the time jump, then it makes a lot more sense for her to come back, because I think you can easily have the character come back and introduce a story where yeah, that makes a lot of sense. She was just doing this or that, and it's been several years, so that's why she wasn't in contact with anybody. Like, I think that actually makes the most sense if you wanted to do something like that, but I don't really know specifically how. I honestly don't know, but a big time jump, if they were to do that, that's the first step. It could be CRM related, definitely. Like, she could have found that community and just tried to survive there, stay there, and she's just been surviving in that community for now. It would have to intertwine, obviously, with Fear's story and what they're going through right now. So do you think Carol can take Dwight's Commonwealth part and also his death? I think she could take that part. I think Daryl could too as well. The death, though, I don't know. I've been saying it for a bit. I do think Dwight's death in the comic is likely to go to Magna. That's kind of how I see it. I think Magna could get that death. Q&A, do you think Fear the Walking Dead can go on without Alicia on the show? Yeah, it definitely can, because Alicia, she's awesome on the show. I love her, but like, she's not like a big like, she's barely been in the second half of the season, so it can definitely survive without her. But she is an important aspect because she's a Clark family member. You need to have them on the show, so it can survive without it because it's not really heavily reliant on her, and she's barely on the show right now. But I wouldn't like to see her go. I would like to still see her on the show. Could Morgan have been bit and be hiding it from the rest of the group? Yeah, that technically could have happened, but I watched the finale and there's kind of no hint at that, so I don't think that's going to happen at all. Did you see 616 already? Because I would like to ask you some questions about that as well. Yes, I have seen that already, and my spoiler review for that should be coming out tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all those questions. If you want to take part in my next Q&A, just go follow me on Twitter. If you already follow me on Instagram, I will probably ask on there too. I'm going to do both. I might switch off, just kind of whatever I decide. So my Twitter is just @OnTerrace Street. The link for it should be down below. But I'll leave it here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.